where we can't, it's very difficult these days to meet face to face. So it's good to have you. Our time is limited today. We have 2 hours, but there's so much we want to share with you. So it's really exciting to see you all here today. We believe this is a really amazing project that we're involved in currently as USAF through the HELM program. So it's good to have you all here today. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Oliver Seal. I head up the HELM program at the University of South Africa. I have a couple of slides to share with you just to kind of situate and locate our meeting, our discussion, our workshop today for all of you. And I'm also ably joined by our program leader, Denise Zinn, by Merila from Sadie and Alan from Sadie, Michelle, our program our senior manager at HELM, and they will be supporting us. And then, of course, other members of the HELM team, Cindy, Kai, and Titetso, and Molatelo, our administrative support. So we brought all the big guns here today. So we hope that it's going to be a fantastic and dynamic engagement. So let's get started while people are still joining us. Right. Okay, and here we are. Just to give you some background to what the program is about and locating this within the broader, as I say, the broader ambit of the work that we do in HELM and at University of South Africa. I want to just start off and say some netiquette rules. We know that this is a safe space. We would appeal. We would like to know who you are. Fortunately, we don't have load shedding currently, so you could, if you kindly under the Zoom and your pic, if you have a pic or your name on your video, put your name in so we can see who you are. It also helps us for recording purposes in terms of this particular meeting and who is attended. We will be very informal today, so no titles, just first names, if that's in order with everyone. Again, because we in the technology space, sometimes the gremlins do creep in, and so we'll be generous with mistakes, and we don't mind cats pitching up and wanting a stroke, or dogs barking in the background, or children, or husbands or spouses or partners bring you a cup of coffee. It's fine. We're all used to that now in the kind of Zoom world. And also when we do, as we transition from the various inputs and presentations, we ask you to be patient because sometimes there may be delays. If you do go missing, we'll wait for you and make sure that we bring you back from the ether and join us again in this meeting. And finally, it really is a safe and enabling space. So feel free to engage with us as dynamic and as vigorous as possible. Right. So there's quite a sizable group here today. So I'm going to ask that you introduce yourselves, and the exercise really is around knowing who you are, who's in the room. We'll start it with some volunteers and we'll have to go through the list. I will ask Michelle and Denise, our program leader, just to assist, make sure that we don't miss anyone in the process. And this, of course, is not for us. We're not going to introduce ourselves. It's really for you who are joining us as master trainers and participants in this workshop. And the kind of requirements are very simple. You've done this before. There's only a slight twist. So when you introduce yourself, we'll ask you please to share your name, first of all, the institution that you're from, and then the position that you're currently in at your university. And it will have to be quick fire because it's a fairly sizable group, be more than 30 in the room, which is fantastic. So please don't spend too much time on the introductions and tell us the story of your lives. And then the other requirement of the introduction is it's just for you to mention one issue, and the emphasis, I know you're all academics and you like to say a lot about things. Just mention one issue that either excites you or challenges you in the teaching and learning space. So we're going to do a round of introductions. We'll work through everyone, and please make it brief. Name, institution in your position, and then one issue that excites you or challenges you currently in the teaching and learning space. I'm going to stop my screen share so that I can see who's here. Any volunteers? Otherwise, you will be volunteered. Please, there you go. Thank you, Salome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Salome Iman-Vogel. I am currently the Deputy Dean of Teaching and Learning at the University of Pretoria. One thing that I'm incredibly excited about teaching and learning currently is designing learning experiences to be human-centered and student-centered. I think we sometimes think we do that, but I don't think we do. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Salome. Good to meet you. Thank you very much. It's really exciting. Michelle Hatch next.
Hi, yes, Michelle Hatch from UKZN. I'm Senior Lecturer there, Economics, and Deputy Academic Leader, Teaching and Learning in our school. The thing that excites me about education, and hence anything to do with teaching and learning, is our ability to transform our students' lives. That's always been what motivates me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. That's really exciting. Chichi.
Thank you, Prof. Good morning, colleagues. I'm Chichi from Central University of Technology, Free State. I'm the Deputy Director for Curriculum and Academic Staff Development. What excites me at this stage is that we've been taken out of our comfort zones, and that's quite exciting.
Great. Thank you, Chichi. Thank you very much. Tiana.
Morning, colleagues. Tiana van der Merwe, Deputy Director for the Center for Teaching and Learning at the University of the Free State. And I think the thing that excites me the most of higher education and teaching and learning is that no day is the same in this area. Every day there's a new challenge and something new we all can learn. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Tiana. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Okay, Marlies.
Good morning. I'm Marlies Kochen from Pedagogical Health Sciences University. I'm a senior lecturer and the chairperson of our teaching and learning committee in the School of Healthcare Sciences. I'm a physiotherapist by profession. And yeah, I'm very excited about how far we've come with online teaching and learning. I think if you asked us this question 2 years ago, when all of this just started, it would have been a completely different answer that you could have expected. But now we are so advanced and from where we started. So that's very exciting too. Thank you.
Agree, Marlies. It's a whole new world full of excitement and possibilities. Nazreen?
Good morning. I'm Nazreen Dessou from the University of Johannesburg, Faculty of Education, Department of Education and Curriculum Studies, and a senior lecturer there. I think what excites me and challenges me is the repositioning of teaching and learning after the COVID. You know, we reimagine. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nazreen. Juliet?
Good morning, colleagues. I'm Juliet Saltenkamp, and I'm the Director for the Center of Innovative Technologies at the University of the Western Cape. What really excites me and challenges me, Dr. Green, is that the design of the online environments, but also thinking about not only the academics, but the professional support staff that need to design those support environments. I think we forget about that.
Agree with you, Juliet. It's a team effort. Mike Swanepoel.
Morning, colleagues. Mike Swanepoel, Nelson Mandela University, Acting Director for Digital Learning Experience Design and Innovation. My current rabbit hole that I'm going down is learning analytics.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Alice, it's a wonderland that we currently. Thanks, Mike. Zweli.
Morning, colleagues. I am Zweli Baleni from Watasulu University, Manager Academic Staff Development. What excites me is the challenge is the exposure to the digital world and how it assists us to move from our comfort zones. Thank you.
Thanks very much, really. Good to have you. And I see you mobile. You're really mobile from your car. Fantastic. Kasturi.
Good morning, colleagues and Oliver. My name is Kasturi Bihari Leek. I don't know why I'm repeating that. I'm the Dean in the Center for Higher Education Development at UCT and an academic staff developer. What excites me and challenges me is how we are going to bring the decolonial project into the online teaching and learning challenges of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kasturi, and good to have you. Pumelele. Pumelele Zakwe.
Good morning, everyone. Greetings, colleagues. My name is Pumelele Zakwe. I'm the lecturer and the acting director of professional services at the College of Humanities, University of KwaZulu-Natal. Things that excites and challenges me at this stage is that COVID-19 has taught us to be more technologically advanced in our daily operations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pumelele. Eugenie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Eugenie Wolf. I'm from the Comprehensive Online Education Services Directorate at the University of Pretoria. My role there is as project manager for the online education team. And I think what really excites me is the extent to which academics are now involved in the curriculum design and development process and how it serves as a professional development opportunity for them. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Eugenie, and good to have you. Kamira.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kimera. I'm also from the Directorate of Comprehensive Online Education Services at University of Pretoria. I'm a senior learning designer there, and what excites me is how do these lecturers use all these different instructional design tools?
Yep, I agree. Thank you very much, Nomsa. Nomsa Matiti.
Good morning, colleagues.
Hello,
my name is Nomsa. I am a lecturer here at the Northwest University, Vanderbilt Park campus. I'm also the program leader for the Early Childhood Development Program at our university. What excites me or also challenges me, especially now in the past 2 years during COVID, has been the designing and of the assessment to make sure that it is credible, and because we experienced a lot of students that were plagiarizing and so on. So that has been a great challenge and an excitement to me to be able to design assessments in a way that still are credible. Thank you.
Don't worry, you're not alone, Nomsa. Many of us have similar problems. Good to have you. Thank you. Geeta?
Hi, I'm Geeta Mistry. Hi, hello everyone. I'm Geeta Mistry from the Durban University of Technology. I'm an academic development practitioner, cum educational technologist at the DUT. And I'm excited by the concept of developing a justice-oriented digital competence framework. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Geeta. Very, very valid and very, very important. Thanks, Geeta. Rita? You need to unmute, Rita.
Sorry, I did the camera, not the unmuting.
happens all the time.
So I'm Rita Ganesh from Wits University, and I'm an educational developer, as we are known at Wits. And what excites me is actually the fact that learning takes place all the time, everywhere. And I'm so excited that we have come together as a national collaboration just in this very forum today, which is so valuable because we've been working in isolation. And I think while there's great excitement, I think the challenge will be, it opens up huge possibilities, but change can be sometimes seen as difficult to work with. But I'm looking forward to the opportunity and possibilities.
Great, thanks very much, Rita. Shamla?
Good morning, colleagues. I'm Sharmini Rama from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. I'm currently the interim head of academic monitoring and support in the College of Humanities. What excites me is there's always questions and there's always challenges that come through in terms of the way in which we think we are seeing things. And that gives rise to a lot of learnings and rethinking of the way in which we are doing and seeing and believing and understanding. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shamla. That's very enlightening. Roy?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Roy Venkateswamy from the University of Pretoria. I'm a senior lecturer in the Early Childhood Education Department, responsible for mathematics education. What excites me is teaching is no more the new normal. I mean, teaching is no more the old normal. It has now become the new normal. And what's exciting and challenging that I'm looking forward towards is about redefining, redesigning, and reforming education for the 21st century. Thank you.
Great, Roy. That sounds like a topic for an upcoming conference. Good to have you. Thank you, Roy. Is there anyone else we may have missed up? I can't see. Right. Sewela, Mabusela, Sewela.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Sewela Mabusela. I'm the Director for Teaching and Learning at the University of Zululand. My interest is on supporting environment, most especially transformative pedagogy, as we are implementing our new strat plan, which is called African Thought and Literary Vision 2027. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sewela. Nirmala.
Good morning, Oliver, and good morning, everyone else. I'm Nirmala Gopal from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, professor in criminology. What I'm really excited about is that historically I've been a teacher from basic education and then moved into higher education. And yeah, and I think I've been missing discourses around pedagogy and didactics, etc. So I'm really excited to be in this particular group. And I was grateful for having been selected as one of the master trainers. And yeah, and I mean, of course, I find what I'm really excited about at the moment is the opportunities of digital using Zoom or Microsoft Teams and how much more successful we are in terms of large classes. We have classes of up to 800.
Wow.
And the benefits of using online teaching. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mola. You're in the right place, in the right space. Right, Heidi Skuman. Heidi, I think you need to unmute. And if we can see you, it would be great. There you go. And
good morning, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. My name is Heidi Skuman. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Law. I absolutely love technology. I've been doing blended learning probably for the past 18 years, but with COVID, obviously it took on a completely new level of doing that. Yeah, so as I say, I absolutely love technology. What I really would like out of all of this is to eventually get the Luddites to join the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you.
We will drag them there kicking and screaming, Heidi. Great stuff. Marina? You need to unmute.
Morning, everyone. I'm Mariana Ludwig from the University of Pretoria, Department for Education Innovation, and I'm an education consultant there. I'm really happy to be part of this group with the opportunity for sharing much wider and on a national basis. And I think that the affordances of online, as we experienced it the past 2 years, with the affordances of being back on campus soon, I think that is both exciting and also somewhat of a challenge. And with this, I just also want to apologize for the sudden thunder of noise you had from my microphone at the beginning of the session. I was still sorting out my mic when I suddenly realized, well, I'm actually on air. So apologies for that.
No worries. We here in the Highveld, we used to thunderstorms also, the weird noises coming from Zoom. Good to have you. Great. Al Baleni, I don't know what your first name is, but please introduce yourself from University of Fort Hare.
Good morning, colleagues.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, I'm Lulu Baleni from the University of Fort Hare. I am excited by the formation of the learning communities after we had experienced COVID and the aspects of teaching and learning that are relevant to the 4IR, which we think it is far from us to be using the technology. Thank you. I'm the senior consultant for curriculum design and development in the university. Thank you.
Thank you, Lulu. Lovely to meet you and good to have you here all the way from the Eastern Cape. Great stuff. Esndlalazi, I don't know your first name, so please introduce yourself. Thank you. Esndlalazi. There you go, and you're appearing as we speak.
Good morning. My name is Bongile Ndlazi. I'm from Walter Sisulu University. And in my position there, I'm the Deputy Director, Program Reviews, Accreditation, and Quality Enhancement. But in my previous life, I was a Curriculum Development Specialist. What excites me more in the area of higher education is the fact that is the reimagination of curriculum in the light of humanizing the curriculum as well as in the place of COVID. How can we assist lecturers to have that human element in their curriculum? And considering that now COVID, it seems as if it's something that is going to be staying with us for a long time, how do we ensure that our teaching capabilities meet the requirements of such COVID requirements? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Booth, and great also to meet you and to have you with us today. Shobar, I'm not sure if that's your first name. Please introduce yourself. Thank you very much.
Hello, hi. I'm Shoba. The R is from my surname. I'm Shoba Raptilal from Durban University of Technology. I'm the coordinator of the Curriculum and Staff Development Unit. My main areas of focus is extended curriculum, NGAP, design thinking and stuff. What excites me at the moment, I think, is trying to establish what are the sort of underlying practices and that are expected of students and making these explicit in our teaching and learning opportunities afforded to students. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Shoba, and good to have you all the way from KZN. Mukhtar Rabban.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Mukhtar Rabban from Nelson Mandela University. I'm lecturer in the Faculty of Humanities, and I coordinate the Humanizing Pedagogy project at the university, as well as researching in the Digital Humanities Hub. An area that challenges but excites me currently is the potential for transformation of digital pedagogies, particularly with approaching it from social justice ambitions. Yeah, so that's my current area. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mukhtar. Right, is there anyone we've missed? I know Anita joined us late. Anita, can you please introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then share with us either a challenge or something that excites you currently in the teaching and learning space. Over to you, Anita.
Good morning, everybody. Once again, my apologies for being late. Don't make me laugh about something that excites me. So I am I am the Director for Strategic Projects in the DVC Academics line, and I come from UWC. And I think my reason for being here is that I'm on the National Committee for Universities, the National Framework for Universities as teachers, academics as university teachers. So what excites me is the post-COVID era in higher ed, and it will have an impact what it would be for teaching and for learning. So how are students going to learn? And I think there are so many contributing factors that will have to be taken into consideration, because if we think of second year students now, they haven't finished their matric in a proper way. They've done first year in a different way. How are they going to learn? So I think the exciting part is the post-COVID era in higher education, but also for the changing world of work. And how do students learn, and how are staff, how adaptable and how pivotal will it be? Because higher education in itself now is a changed world of work. So that to me is exciting.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for that, Anita. I think it's really around how one approaches this in an integrated way, in terms of ensuring that our students are not just prepared for the academics, but also appropriately, positioned for a changing world of work. Anyone else that you may have missed? Nalini.
Sorry about that. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. And my apologies, my camera doesn't work. So I'll try and connect to my phone or another device later.
No
very
worries.
excited.
We'll be happy you're here. No worries.
And I did join slightly later, so my apologies for that as well. I think what excites me is just excited to be here with really passionate people in South Africa. And what I found, especially over the last 2 years, is the collaboration and dialogue that happened, and the willingness to just share and give and just be there for each other. I think we've always in higher education experienced moments of disruptions and exciting situations that allowed us to think anew. And I think this is another one of those opportunities to reimagine, re-envision, and just think differently. So we are quite disrupted in our thoughts and our assumptions. So I'm Nalini Chitanan from the Durban University of Technology in KZN. I work in the area of staff development, and I'm engaged in a number of staff development projects, academic induction, various kinds of teaching and learning engagements at the university. And I'm quite passionate about SOTL. I've been running a SOTL program at the university for a number of years, of late, and I'm quite interested in contributing to the scholarship as well as the practice of higher education. So thanks for this opportunity to be part of this engagement with everyone.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love the scholarship part of it. I think that's also going to be very exciting for all of us. Thank you, Nalini. M. Mashunje, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, colleagues. I'm Mazam Shunje from the University of Fort Hare. I work in the Teaching and Learning Center as a consultant. I'm more interested in the challenges of technology, and I've enrolled for a course on teaching with technology with Youth City, and I'm just hoping that it will benefit much more since we are moving from the period of post-COVID, and everything now is online.
Great, thanks for
you.
that. Thank you very much, and good to have you here again, all the way from the Eastern Cape. Anyone else that we may have missed? Michelle, have we been keeping track?
Is Kibi in the room?
Kibi?
Is
Kibi in the room?
here?
Yes, there we go. We see Kibi, but we don't see Kibi appearing.
Hi, hi everybody.
As with
I'm
magic,
Kibi Naidu
she's in the room.
from.
Hello, Kibi.
Hello. I'm Kibi Naidu. I'm from the University of Johannesburg, and I'm the Director for Academic Staff Development. Gosh, there's so much that actually excites me and scares me about where we are now. But I think for me right now, it's really about how do we actually best meet the constantly changing needs of our students, and how do we prepare academic staff to address these in a responsive and socially just way. Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Kibi.
everybody.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please speak now if I ever hold your pieces. Going, gone. Okay, right. Let me go back to my screen share. I think just while I'm doing that, what's really stood out for me is how we need to come together as a collective. I think what's been fascinating in this time of COVID, which has been scary, exciting, exhilarating, and also quite overwhelming in some instances for staff and students, is that willingness to share. I think the fact that the people are stepping up. It's been really a fascinating space to watch, and I think the resilience of the sector, the resilience of our universities, the resilience of people like yourselves who are at the proverbial chalk face and are really kind of taking up this task with vigor, although it is sometimes, as I say, it can be overwhelming and in some instances quite dramatic. So that's been really exciting to see that. And I think the developments that have been, I think we're in a much better space today than we were 2 years ago when COVID, started, when we really experienced the first round of COVID and the massive impact that had on the university system globally. I think the trauma that it had on individuals, on institutions and our education systems was quite pervasive. But I think at the end of the day, we're coming through it and we're learning lessons. And I think what's been very, very, very exciting for me today is how positive people are still in this time. So we're looking forward to building on that energy, that enthusiasm, that passion that people have still for the academy. And we really, really, really appreciate the fact that you've joined us in this workshop today. Right. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way.
Sorry, Oliver.
Yes,
Oliver,
sorry.
Before you go on, there are 2 more people who've just come in, Clever and Anki. Could we maybe just get them into the room as well?
Yes, Trevor, please stop my share. Clever, please introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, and then something that excites you or challenges you, or excites you and challenges you currently in your position. Please, Clever.
Thank you very much. Morning, colleagues. Clever Ndebele, Senior Director, Learning and Teaching, Walter Sisulu. What really excites me as a spin-off from COVID-19 is how we can leverage on technology to ensure learning and teaching continues during times of disruption. What also excites me particularly about this initiative is the deliberate effort to harness expertise across the sector and offer staff development to all our academics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clever. Denise, just remind me, who was the other person that just joined us? Anki, please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Anki Roberts, and I'm from the University of Pretoria of Comprehensive Online Education Services. And I'm really excited to be part of this initiative, because it always excites me to find out how to better serve my students in the development of learning environments that could intrigue and engage them.
Thank you, Anki, and good to have you. Are we done, Denise? Is there one more?
Tandeka is the last one in, and I think then we should go on from here.
Right. Tandeka, please welcome. We would like to know who you are, and then where you're from, which universities, what you do there, and something that either excites you or challenges you in your current job. Tandeka.
Hi, I'm Tandeka, the quality director. And
you're breaking up, Tandeka. I don't know if it's just me or it's just your connection.
What challenges
there's a problem.
Yeah, there's a connection problem, Tandeka. If you don't mind, perhaps just introduce yourself in the chat, and then we'll know who you are and what you're currently doing at your university. I think, yeah, we've lost Tandeka. Great. Colleagues, thank you so much for those introductions. Let me just go back to sharing my screen. So what we're doing today, just to locate the Helm project or the Helm program within the ULDP project, those of you may have heard of Helm, what we currently do. Program's been around since early 2000s when we were going through size and shape and the mergers. Fortunately, people at then HESA decided not to terminate the program. In 2017, we started engaging with the DHET around support for the university staffing framework document, and we plugged Helm into that policy, into that program. And from there on, from 2018, Helm was supported by the DHET as a strategic national collaboration. And I put the emphasis on that because I think here's an opportunity. What we've learned, the experiences from Helm, is that we draw on the expertise of the people that are currently in the sector. We don't use consultants. We don't use people from outside of our world. We use people that are currently invested and working in our sector, but also those who have retired, and we draw on those kind of levels of expertise, their knowledge and experiences to share for the benefit of our broader community. So that's the kind of key principles. What we do in Helm, 3 pillars. One, research in higher education, leadership and management. So there's a very strong scholarship dimension. We really promote the scholarship of leadership and management development in universities because we are knowledge institutions. We are institutions that promote an academic endeavor. And then the interventions that we do develop are context specific and bespoke. It's not a one size fits all. It's not the kind of old, spray and pray approach where we try and hit you with as much as possible and we pray that something lands. This is quite specific, and you'll see why we get engaged in this kind of process with you as master trainers and experts so that we can draw on your experience, your knowledge for the benefit, as I said, of the program and the sector as a whole. And then we have advisory services that we're doing in the shape of helping universities with their strategic planning, change management initiatives, and so on. What Denise Zen, my colleague and our program leader, refers to as the soccer ball of Helm. We have our induction onboarding program. Some of you have already, and I recognize some of you from our Foundations of Leadership program, so that's great. You'd be happy to know that we are in the process of putting together our education leadership orientation book called Hello, and we will provide that later towards the end of the year. We'll provide that to all universities as part of our public service, where you can plug this MOOC into your current onboarding program or your induction program for new employees, both in administration and in the academy. What we found is a number of people in key positions in universities like HOD, head of schools and deans, don't have an appropriate onboarding or induction for that specific role. So that's what we're working on. Then we have a senior and middle management program. Our star program, our highlight program is our Will program, which we're busy recruiting for. And we're having a 3rd cohort this year, so we're very excited about that. We're working on a university management development. Various interventions, you'll be pleased to know we do work with VCs and DVCs. So yeah, and we do run events for them. So we do have an executive leadership program. Our specialization programs is what we are dealing with now, our University Lecturing Development Program, the ULDP. We're also members of the team, the Student Success team that Cindy Kai heads up, that are looking at a program to support those who are working in the student success domain, either in the administration or in the academy. And then we've got a very exciting project, some of you may be aware of it because we have spoken to you about, called Uldp, which is our University Learning Futures project, which supports the HDIs with their digital transformation, technology mediated learning policy strategies and plans. We're talking about a master's and PG dip, so watch this space. It's still consultations. And of course, you know, we are not an awarding and a certifying agency or institution, neither Helm nor USAF. So we are working very closely with our universities. We will work with the university partner to help us develop a master's, which is specific for education leadership. It doesn't exist. And those are for people who have a first degree in another discipline and want to make a career in education leadership and management. And then the PG DIP will be a similar qualification for the lower levels. At some point, we want to after a professional doctorate in education leadership and management, but that's probably a few years from now. We have a very good coaching program currently that's in place in our Women in Leadership program, and that's doing amazing, showing us some amazing need, but also some amazing results. And we're hoping to expand that on a national level. And as I'm saying, if you keep an eye on our website, I have to say this because I'm the Chief Marketing Officer, you've got to go to www.helm.ac.za, and they will get more information on the programs. And a number of you have already participated in our Engage online webinar series. There is one later today at 2 o'clock, which is going to be focusing on internationalization in HE. The ULDP, again, just drawing from where you've seen a previous schematic around how everything hangs together within Helm. In the Helm, the two portfolios, it's the Helm Programs portfolio, which is headed up by Michelle Buchler, who's the senior manager there, and the Student Success portfolio, which is headed up by Cindy Kai, who's the senior manager there. Those three don't come together in our ULDP because there's a benefit in both of those portfolios. The ULDP, as we are designing it currently with your inputs, with your support, with your investment, comes in 4 stages. This is the inception stage, which we'll talk about quite a bit today. So kind of introduction, what are we about, how we're going to be doing it. The course design that we will do as a collective, working with you as master trainers, also as experts, because we believe it's out there somewhere. We've done this before, you know, it's not something new. And I think the idea of, I mean, they say sometimes a bit glibly, sharing is caring, but it is in this case. I mean, sharing our knowledge, sharing our expertise, sharing our experiences is going to be critical to ensure that we hit the mark in terms of the course design. The delivery will initially be in 2 phases, with working with the master trainers, which is 100 participants, and you are the first group of that, and we're really, really excited to see you all in the room today, working also with the experts. And then we'll roll it out over a period of probably 18 months in various regions. The course itself will be fully online. We may, again, in consultation, look at opportunities for synchronous events on a regional basis. So, but again, that's it. It may be a high flex mode because sometimes one feels there's an element of engagement that you need. Then, of course, that is COVID permitting and the future in respect of that regulations. But we will work as a collective on the design and delivery of the program, and that will more than likely happen in the 2nd semester, and then roll over into 2023. And then in the end, I think as it befits a program of this nature and an initiative of this nature, there has to be evaluation, monitoring and evaluation, so that we can determine what worked, what didn't work, and how we can improve it. I think importantly, I think this came up, I think it was Anita who mentioned this. This is informed. We're obviously not just doing this in isolation. It's in the national interest. It's a national project. So it does fit in with all the strategic frameworks, the policies of the DHET, who is our collaborator, the National Framework for Enhancing Academics University Teachers that was referred to, the National University Teaching and Learning Projects and Contributions. Colleagues, we're beyond this competitive duplication, replication mode. It really is a case where we get the best of the best, and we offer that as a service to the community in the national interest. So we will collaborate quite extensively with the current projects that are in place and see how we can enhance those projects or learn from those projects and those programs that are currently. And then I think also plugging this into the university USAF Teaching and Learning Strategy Group, which some of you may be aware of, which deals with teaching and learning strategy issues within USAF. So that's an exciting development for us. And this is really just locating the ULDP within it. And the end goal, I think, is as was mentioned by all of you in some way or another in introductions earlier, is around enhancing quality teaching and learning. And on the one hand, getting better, especially in the technology-mediated learning and teaching space. And on the other hand, also ensuring student success. So that's me, colleagues. Now I'd like to hand over to, we have some time for questions. Denise, anything to add from your side that I may have missed? And then there'll be time for questions and comments for the next few minutes until, yeah. Denise?
From my side, I think, Oliver, just to say that people must please feel free to post any questions that they may have in the chat. We've got quite a tight program, but we'd really like to hear from you if there's anything that didn't make sense. And there'll be a couple of periods during the course of this morning for you to actually ask questions for clarity and for us to respond to those. So please feel free to just jump in via the chat, or if it's urgent, to put up your hand. I think that's all from me. Thanks, Oliver.
Thank you very much, Denise. Right, I think we're now at that point in the program where we can hand over to our colleagues, Alan and Marilla from Sadie. Over to you, and they're going to be talking about the ULDP objectives and then the overview of the inception phases, which we're currently engaging with today. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Marilla and Alan.
Thank you, Oliver, and good morning to everybody. Welcome to everybody. We certainly have had a very high energy start to this very exciting program, and it was really, really instructive to hear the kinds of issues that people are engaged with, both the challenges and the things that excite them. I just noticed in the chat, I think somebody has just asked a question about a program. I'm not sure if I'm mistaken. I just saw it flashing onto the screen, didn't see it fully. But just to say that Michelle has put the actual program for today's meeting in the chat. So if you want to look at it, you could look at it there. So now if we can, my name is, sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Hopefully you've seen my name on the screen. My name is Marilla, and I work at Sadie, which is the South African Institute of Distance Education. We've been very involved with a number of universities, in fact, 17 of the national universities as part of our Siyaphumelela program, the Student Success Program, which Alan leads. So it's an area that we are quite familiar with. My particular focus is very much on program, course, and curriculum design, and with a strong focus on learning design in materials design. So we are very excited to be part of this program and collaborating with all the universities and collaborating with Helm on this very important project. This first slide just reflects the key objectives of the ULDP, the University Learning and Teaching Program. And it was very exciting to hear that so many of you really highlighted the importance of teaching and learning in the higher education and training sector. Anita particularly talked about, being interested in how students learn, and this is certainly something that we will be engaging with, how learning happens, in order to understand how to then design successful programs for learning. Eugenie, I think from UP, was talking about the fact that there's been, she's excited by the strong move of academics to becoming more involved in actual curriculum design. Ninala, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, spoke about the importance of teaching, and a lot of people also spoke about the importance and relevance of technology-supported learning. All of these are areas that we will be exploring as part of our engagement with these 4 key objectives of the course. And ultimately, of course, what is really, really exciting is that this is a national program, which has been highlighted by quite a few people, including Rita from WITS and Nalini from DUT, highlighting the importance of collaboration and sharing which we really believe is going to really strengthen any engagement around the strengthening of teaching and learning, and certainly the transformation of education in higher education. So it was really, really nice to have reinforced and reconfirmed everybody's commitment to, in fact, what are the key objectives of this ULDP program. Thank you. If I could have the next slide, please. Thanks. So we are going to be considering a number of aspects in the program, including different modalities of presenting and information and presenting courses and learning. We will engage with who the participants are in this program, which is something that Denise will speak to in a moment. And then we will look more carefully at the key sort of foundational aspects of designing programs, the underpinning principles, and how we will go about identifying the competencies that we all agree are the competencies that need to be the key focus of this program. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I will need to speak about just a quick overview of the high-level overview of this inception phase, which I will speak about before Alan starts to speak a little bit about different modalities. So the inception phase has really got as its primary objective the identification of problems that need to be considered for us to be able to address the overall ULDP program objectives. So the process that we propose to engage with over the next few months is really a process to get to what those key problems are, and then to propose useful and implementable, doable solutions that will help us to actually address the problems that have been identified in teaching and learning, and to agree on what the competency outcomes for this program should be. So that's at a very high level what the inception phase of this entire program will focus on. So I think I'd like to hand over to Alan to talk a little bit more about, about the modalities that will be explored in this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilla. I'm sure that everybody here today understands the differences in where students find themselves and the place of where they can study. COVID has brought this really very firmly to the front. And the question always arises, well, we can use technology, but not everybody has technology. And then we have to design for online, for blended, for classroom activities, for didactic presentations. And so we think there is a single way in which we can teach people how to use technology with learning design so that we can use this in a face-to-face, in a blended, or totally online. And online with connectivity and online without connectivity. So that is one of the aims that we would like to introduce all the participants to, and we hope to show how we do this in all the engagements that we have with you. So we're going to use our own theories to help you understand what we believe is an interesting way to think about teaching and learning. So I think Denise is going to talk to us about the groups of people.
Do you want me to do that now, Alan?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right, great. Thanks, everybody. I don't know if my video is on now. It should be. So just a very warm welcome from my side. We didn't introduce ourselves, the organizing team. I know a few of you. I'm Denise Zinn. I was at Nelson Mandela University as DVC before joining Helm in the various exciting programs they're doing. In this particular program, I'm not quite clear exactly what my role is going to be, other than that I'm program leader. And that speaks to the fact that this is an unfolding program. And I think my job is to really make sure that we hold all of you in this space in the various roles that you are going to play. So as members, you will see in that line of the grid next door, that there are experts, master trainers, and lecturers in this this project. What we have assembled here today are 40 people in the room. You will see that as the participants, and these 40 people are actually very nicely divided into a group of master trainers, of whom we hope to have approximately 25 as the first group of master trainers, and hopefully most of you will be part of that group. We also have a group of 8 that we are hoping will be sort of the expert reference group, and then the rest of the people in the room are people who are part of the team. So Marilla, Alan, Oliver as the Helm director, Michelle as the senior manager, Cindy also as a manager in admin, and Tasetso as tech support. This is the team that will be working with that. I've already seen a question from someone saying, what is it that we are expected to do? So the first thing is that this group that is assembled here are going to be the group that are going to help us think through the program and what it's got to contain and what the outcomes are going to be. Sadie are going to be playing a really, really important role, because they have come up with a methodology for doing this based on design thinking. And I don't know about any of you, I know a few of you were chosen precisely because you've actually done some design thinking courses before. But this is what is really, really exciting about this program, is that we're going to be using the design thinking principles in order to develop the program and its outcomes. Alan and Marilla will tell you a little bit more about that as we go on. But I know you're wondering about what your roles are going to be. So the master trainers are people who have all got quite extensive experience in staff development, in continuous professional development. Most of you fall into that category. The expert reference group are people who have done a lot of thinking and a lot of research and a lot of have a lot of experience as well about some of the aspects of developing a curriculum for staff development. I also need to let you know that the people, the target audience eventually for this program, the remaining 900 that are in the top level of this, are early career academics. They mostly people are new into academic teaching and learning. And this then provides us with a way to get across the sector, across all the universities, a particular basic introduction that will take place over a period of about 3 months for onboarding people and providing them with support for their careers as early career academics. So I don't know if that is clear, it will unfold. I need to say that one of the things you all have to hold, because we are in a complex environment, it's an environment characterized by complexity, is the fact that we don't have all the answers yet. So this will be unfolding. But one of the things I can guarantee is that at the end of this process, we are going to have all the elements that are going to make up the curriculum of the University Lecturer Development Program. Please ask questions, post any questions that you have, because as is the case with things that are complex, there will be aspects that have to fit together eventually to give us the whole picture. So for now, I think I'm going to leave it there. We're going to come back to this again a little bit later to try and make sure that everyone understands the big picture of what's happening. Just in terms of those circles, you will see Sadie right at the center there, because they have developed this Inception program. The second piece is the reference group. These are people that we have invited in because of the research and the knowledge that they have of these kinds of curriculum development processes for staff development. Then we have the master trainers group in the second circle, and the rest of you all kind of belong into that group. Later on, your role is going to be to help train the second group of master trainers, because we have to expand that to about 100 people, who will then in turn go to that last layer, which is rolling out the program that has been developed to about 900 participants across the 26 universities. So I'll leave it at there for now, and then we'll do more when question time comes. Thanks, Alan.
Maybe just to make this a little bit more visual, what you have just said is saying that the way we conceptualize the whole program is in 5 kinds of activities. So the inception phase we're talking about is just this bar here, which is the helping Sadie and Helm with the experts and the master trainers. And so that is what the first 3 months is about. The second phase is then looking at the master trainer group, and that is to do with once we have designed the curriculum, the design and the development of the pilot of the learning material is then done, and then some of as we go across, I think there is a mistake here, sorry. The third group is about developing the pilot for the master trainers so that they can learn to give what the lecturers are going to have. The last one is then developing the master trainer group 1 helps to develop the master trainer 2, and the last one is where everybody, all the master trainers, teach the lecturers. Don't know if that helps make the whole process a little diagrammatically clearer. Are there any questions?
Sorry, Alan, if I may just pick up on the ones that came through on the group. I think that there were 3 chats that spoke to different components of what we need to include. And so maybe I just want to say to everybody in the group is you are all essentially co-constructors of this program because of your knowledge, your expertise, your experience in a range of different environments where you are all located. So you will bring in, we're depending on you to bring into the space where we will work together to develop a program that actually takes into account who needs to be part of the program, what needs to be included, why, and what kind of outcomes we are aiming for. Alan and Marilla will also explain how they're thinking about this in terms of the eventual target group who are students. So I don't know if there are any other questions.
If there are no questions, Marilla, would you like to continue? You're not, sound is not working. Still not. Marilla, your voice is not active. No.
Ellen, do you want to perhaps go ahead? While
yes, I'm just going to see if I can ask to unmute. It's not working. Okay. Sorry, I need to go back. Marilla, do you want to unplug and replug yourself, and I will continue? One of the components that we would like to talk about is that in this first foundation phase, we are going to have 3 workshops. And these workshops are, the first part is about the principle. I'm sorry, I've gone out of sequence.
Marilla's just come back into the room. I think she was dropped, Ellen.
Okay, so let's just go back. Marilla.
While we are sorting all of this out, just to remind people of Oliver's slide right at the beginning on the netiquette, we ask for tolerance when these things happen, and all of you being in this realm, I'm sure you understand that these things happen. We get people dropped. We have to get back in. We've got standby people who fall in when we need to. But let's try and see if we can get Marilla back up. Otherwise, Ellen will take over.
Well, let's Marilla try and solve a problem. So in this first foundation phase, there are 2 workshops that are important that we want to give you an idea of the way in which we think we go about developing learning materials with technology. So the first one is based on activity-based pedagogical design, which Marilla will help with in that workshop. Of course, I will also be there to support everybody. And in the second one, we will have a engagement with the concept that we learn with technology and not from. And what I mean by that is the one that drives me completely insane, is that everyone just dumps their PowerPoints into the LMS, and that means that the students have learned. Well, some might, but most won't. So how do we think about these kinds of things? So that's what the foundation part will be. And in order to do that, we are going to look at a number of ways in which we are going to think about this. I think Marilla is still having a problem. Okay. There's a question, will the workshops be presented online? Yes, everything will be done digitally via the interactive websites and Zoom. The next 3 workshops will ask questions and try to solve a number of issues. So one is about determining notional learning hours for the trainers, for the lecturers, and for the associated staff members, or are they all going to be exactly the same? And we need to reach agreement on the nature and content of the master trainer curriculum. The second one is to think about how do we make use of open educational resources. And so we will have a session not only about how an OER textbook is might be used, but also about understanding what open licensing means. We have found in Sadie that there are many misconceptions about what an open license is. And how do you share materials, and how do you allow people to make use of materials or change materials for their own thing requires a license that allows this to be done. Of course, the copyright never changes, and there is not, the open licensing doesn't take away your copyright. These are 2 different things that we must understand. And then the last principle that we would like to understand is how we're going to motivate people to participate in the program, because if people are not motivated, and this might even have to be thought about at the institutional and its rules and regulations and processes, and because there are so many of them and sometimes there is a clash. So how do we motivate people to understand this or to participate in the process? So the last component is that we're going to look what Marilla spoke about earlier, about identifying all the issues and problems that staff members face, and how do we then build a curriculum so that we have competency outcomes to do the analysis. And one of the ways to do this is also to talk about how do we describe personas that might inform the way in which we think about, because the person taking this might be a very young person, or it might be a much more senior person. So we need to understand who the target audience is, and developing personas helps quite a lot. Marilla, are you back? No voice. Okay, let me continue. Sorry, Marilla. The other part is to use the expert reference group to, part of their role is to try and create solutions and then to review and reflect. Now, the question is, how are we going to do this? And right at the top, it says design-based research. Now, design-based research is a way of looking at how we might think about learning. So I'm sure you all know empirical research. You make a hypothesis, and that is based on observations or theories. You then make experiments to test the hypothesis. And only once you test the hypothesis and find that the hypothesis is wrong is when it doesn't work. So you then have to refine the theory based on results, and then this becomes application theory by practitioners. I think we all know this. The question that has always been asked, how does this work in education? Well, in my opinion, it doesn't work in education at all. What can you hypothesize about a student learning something? How do you measure that? And when people start to do this and then they want to evaluate and they have a class of 20, well, we know that you can't do empirical research. So there is another way of thinking about research. And this is why it's very important that all of you are going to have a voice. So in design-based research, the first thing that you do is to identify problems. What are the problems you want to solve? Can you solve the problem? Well, how do we go about providing some way of thinking about how do we change the way when something is not working? So the first is analysis of practical problems by researchers and practitioners. And that is what this group is, researchers and practitioners. So then you develop a solution and you can use theoretical frameworks. There are different ones that we can think about, but we don't need to talk about them at this time. And we can continue going backwards and forwards between these two cycles until we come to some kind of solution of what we want to do. And I suspect that this is as far as we will go in the first phase of this project, is to come to those answers that we think the problems are and how we are going to look at them. It was stated that we have to always do evaluation and testing, and it's very important to evaluate and test solutions in practice. And often we can go back to ask the question again, is this the answer that we're looking for? Maybe the way we thought about this problem is not correct. So therefore, let us go back to maybe the first stage or the second stage to then look at the third. So you can have many iterations around the second and third and first. And at the end, you come to a number of design principles which help you think about it. So here is an example of a design-based project. I'm not going to go into the details, but as you notice, there are many there were problems that the researcher did and found, and then developed a solution, evaluated it and didn't go back and did some more evaluations and added more development of the solution, and then had many more ways of looking at this, and at the end came up with some design principles, which then can be reused in the next round. So one of you asked about time frames, and these are the things. So what we're talking about today is the meet and greet for the foundation. And then on the third, we have a learning design approach that is about the activity-based thinking of teaching and learning. And then on the 10th is the learning and technology. How do we learn with technology and not from? The principles are the notional hours and the content curriculum, the open educational resource, and participant motivating, and then the 3 DBR sessions where we look at problems and try to find solutions that will then feed into the next phase of the project. So,
hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, Marilla. If you want to say something more, do so.
I'm terribly sorry. Apologies to everyone. I have absolutely no idea what happened. Everything appeared to be in place, but just could not. I could hear you and you just couldn't hear me. Anyhow, rebooting the computer clearly did it, but sorry, it's a bit late now. I didn't hear the full presentation from Alan because I was busy trying to sort myself out. Apologies. Just wanted to say that I realized that the program, of course, has been flashed on very briefly, and it's probably the dates and times and so on too much to take in one slide. But Michelle will circulate a detailed program shortly to everybody so that you can all engage with them and just look at the actual timing. We've tried to have basically keep all the meetings on a Tuesday, try and keep them all in the morning. And we have, it's quite a tight program because basically up until we have one meeting a week from now until the 24th of May, then a break of a week, then one meeting in June, and then a break of about a month until July. But I'm sure if you get the hard copy of this, you'll be able to engage with it a little bit more carefully, and also you'll be able to see a little bit of elaboration on the content of what is planned for each of these particular workshops. Thank you.
And if you, whoops, let me go. I should have not clicked. There is the URL to this presentation. So you can go and get the presentation for yourself. And it is just a presentation that works in your browser.
Michelle
okay, of course, yeah, Michelle will send this out. Okay, so I think if that's the end of your presentation, Alan and Marilla, it's kind of over to questions and discussion. So it was a lot of information, and we're opening up for discussion now on any of it that wasn't understood. Alan or Marilla will be able to pull back up the slides if there was anything that you didn't understand. So let's have a look at what questions there are now. And I think there was a hand up from.
Salome.
Where is it? Whose hand is up? Somebody alerted me to a hand.
Salome.
Salome. Salome.
Salome,
how do you say your name, Salome?
Salome, any version.
What do you prefer? We want to call you the way you like to be called.
No preferences. Okay. I live in a multilingual environment, so anything is fine. 2 questions from my side. The first question is the distinction between you talk about the master trainers and the expert group. Do people know who those people are? I would appreciate sort of knowing who the people in the various groups are. That would be great. And then the second question is that I have heard comments about the design-based approach, but I've also heard comments about design thinking approach. And I think those are 2 very, very different methodologies. So I just want to ask for clarification on that, please. Thanks.
So we're going to use design-based research.
Go ahead, Alan.
As a mechanism of coming to solutions, but you might want to include design thinking in some of the solutions. So design thinking is a very interesting way of not only us talking about a problem, but getting students involved in it as well. So maybe the process that we will use in the last 3 sessions will be design-based research, but that doesn't mean that we don't include in that, when we think about what other people might want to do to find out more about something, to use action research.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. And your first question, Salome, about who's who, the master trainers and the experts. Marilla or Alan, will you just say a little bit more about what roles those 2 different groups will play? And I think in the room, actually, everybody has expertise, but the roles that you'll play are different. The one are going to be an active part of the training group, training of other trainers, as well as training of the lecturers. And the expert reference group are going to be bringing in different kinds of expertise. Marilla or Alan, would you care to elaborate on that before we give Francois' question a chance to be heard?
Thanks, Denise. I assume you can still hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, now I'm suffering from great anxiety. Okay, thank you. No, well, I think you explained it quite well. The reference group is really, I suppose, an expert group is exactly just that, a reference group, which Helm and Sadie will engage with, particularly around the conceptualization of the various stages of the Inception program in order to get to the end goal, which is a set of competencies that will inform and underpin the development of the ULDP programs. So, and the master trainers will obviously, we will encourage in all respects active engagement in every step of the way. So they will also be contributing to the conceptualization of the programs, but at the same time, they will be building or thinking about how to build their own capacity to take on the role of master trainer. I think that, I don't know if Michelle or yourself, Denise, would like to comment a bit further. The term master trainer is not really a term that we, feel fits this role particularly well, but it's a term used by the ETDP CETA. And I think Michelle can elaborate a little bit on that. And the funding for this program has come from ETDP CETA, so we're using their terminology, but it has kind of a narrower, the term often has a narrower connotation to it than we intended to have.
Does that answer your question, Salome or Salome?
Michelle can
actually,
elaborate. Sorry.
Actually, I wasn't unclear about the roles of the various categories. I was just interested to know who the people are, so and whether we will be able to know who the experts are that is going to be forming part of that group. Maybe it's not relevant for others. I just thought it would be interesting to know.
Yes, yes. I think why we're hesitating a bit about that is because many of you fall actually into both categories and have actually applied to be part of the master training groups, but you also have the kind of expertise that would serve the reference group very well. So I think after today's meeting, and we needed to see who actually came on board today. And I think once we have done that, we will let people know, and of course give them the option as well to decide who will form what of a part of which group. But for the purposes of the workshops, I think everyone will be part of those workshops going forward. So Michelle, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, and including Marilla's reference to the funding from the ETDPC. We don't want to go into too much detail about that because we don't want to bog you all down with some of those kind of administrative and bureaucratic
I've
details.
lost Denise and I'm not sure if it's on my side. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Maybe I went off.
Can hear you, Michelle. No, we can't.
So maybe it was Michelle exiting.
I could hear both.
Okay.
Michelle is now frozen.
Okay, so maybe we should just go on. Does that answer your questions for now, Salome? It will become clearer, I think, as we continue.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so Francois had his hand up. Maybe, Francois, you want to ask your question while Michelle waits to get back in.
Thank you.
Right, I'm back.
Okay, let's just get Francois' question in because maybe there'll be something more you can add once you hear the others, Michelle. Francois?
Right, thank you very much. I just want to add two questions. The one is regarding co-construction. The days that have been put in the slides are on top of each other, and diaries are a challenge. How would it be possible to, if one participates, to give written feedback, and how could that be integrated? I'm just thinking, it looks to me like many of them are a week apart and basically 1 week away. So is there a way the team thought about handling that? And the second question is more, and I did come in late, so Denise, please just say I missed out and I must listen to the recording. The whole issue around quality blended learning and teaching, and how will that be taken into consideration in the construction of the program, especially given the audits that are going on now. I know there's national conversations around exactly what does that mean, and a lot of us are working at it inside our institutions. So maybe just how the quality aspect will be considered.
Okay, great. Alan or Marilla, do you want to start with the issue of the co-construction and the written feedback, etc.? Or with the quality blended piece as well?
Okay.
There are two ways that people can participate, or actually three. The first is that they can join the workshop, which will be recorded. And during that, we can then think about how people might respond to questions. So with the recording, you can then get the recording. And thirdly, the websites where all the interactive work is being done will be available to everybody. So we hope that all our interactions will be online using a interactive website to help you do the tasks that are there and to understand things. So there are also ways in which we haven't finalized yet, is that there will be a Canvas group as well, where people can post their ideas so that we have a rich narratives from everybody that can be taken into consideration when the documents are written.
Great, thanks, Alan. Francois is satisfied with your sufficient explanation. Marilla, did you want to add anything? I saw you were about to speak, and then we can ask Michelle if she wants to add anything.
Regarding the quality aspect, I mean, I think that will be obviously is a key consideration, and we are familiar with the overall kind of criteria set out in the audits, and as and certainly the development of quality learning and teaching programs, courses, materials is kind of a core expertise at SADI. So we will definitely be blending our knowledge with the requirements of and criteria set out in order to underpin all developmental processes by those quality criteria.
Thanks, that's fabulous. Thanks, Marilla and Alan. Michelle, was there anything you wanted to add linked to the first two questions? And please, people, put up your hands if there's anything else you want to ask.
Yeah, no, I think I'm fine for now, Denise. I think we've covered. If people have got any still further, lack of clarity, we can address those. I can come in. I see Michelle Hatch has got her hand up.
Please go for it, Michelle.
Thanks very much, and thanks for your presentation. This is very exciting. I was just curious, to what extent does the socioeconomic backgrounds of our students get included, or do we acknowledge this in this sort of process? Because certainly in my experience with my students, any intervention that we introduce, the success of the intervention almost depends, I don't even want to give it a percentage, but the success of the intervention depends very much on the circumstances of the people we're trying to reach. And, at the end of the day, the people we are trying to reach are the students. And, it's obviously hard to learn when some of them come from very disadvantaged backgrounds. And I know someone did mention that, their ability to use technology is a factor. But I think we all know this, their ability to eat, their ability to live in a circumstance that facilitates learning is actually, it actually marks whether an intervention is going to be successful or not. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Let's take Nirmala's question before we go. So I have two questions in there, but there's a very exciting answer. I can't wait for Alan and Marilla to actually respond to that, because it's something that they have thought about very deeply. But let's just get in Nirmala's so that we just can kind of get a group of questions going. Nirmala?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Denise, and thank you guys for the presentations. It was quite interesting. So two, one I think is a question, and the other one I want to piggyback on what Michelle Hatch has just submitted. First one for me is, what is the, I mean, while I have watched and listened to the presentation, I'm just wondering now, what is the overarching aim of this particular project? I mean, I understand that we will train, the trainer, blah, 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 and eventually train whoever to go out into the sector, etc. But I'm thinking then, in terms of Michelle Hatch's question, would we not be the people who are designing this initial curriculum to train the trainer, and in that initial curriculum that we design, that the various contextual factors will be considered? Thanks, Denise.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for these great questions, because, not everything could be put into the presentation. It would have made it too long. So Marilla and Alan, could you please respond to that, because you've thought very deeply about this?
Sure. I'm going to respond first to Nirmala's question about the overall purpose of the ULDP. So the overall purpose is to improve the teaching and learning across the whole university sector. And I think this is important, because our target group are the lecturers, not the students, although the students will be the end beneficiaries, hopefully, of good quality teaching. And to enhance the second objective set out by Helm for the ULDP is to enhance the academic knowledge and competency of teaching and teacher support staff members, which is also important. I think somebody in the introductory sector today, somebody, and I can't remember exactly who, did mention the importance of support staff and capacity building for support staff. And then added to that is to provide opportunities for higher education, institutional collaboration and cooperation. Those are some of the key high-level objectives of the whole ULDP program. So having said that, I think it's important to bear in mind that the target group, in fact, the first target group is really, I suppose, the master trainers to develop the master trainers. And the second is to develop programs that the master trainers will then provide for the ongoing professional development of lecturers in the colleges around the teaching. And of course, the context of the target group, i.e. the lecturers and their profile, does need to be taken into consideration seriously in the design of the program. And an underpinning principle of the whole project will be to understand the context of whoever the target group is of our teaching and learning endeavors. So for the lecturers, that will be the students. So context is all important.
Thanks. So that might not be giving, Alan, were you about to jump in?
I just wanted to raise 2 points. The first is, when we talk about open educational resources, we might have a series of learning materials that are available in many different formats, which any institution can take and modify for their context. And that's why we need to use an open license. You can't use a license which you said, oh, you can't change this, for instance. So that's why it's important that we understanding that copyright and licensing and adaptation is very important. The other thing that we would like to put into the environment is that there is an enormous amount of technology available. One of the biggest stumbling blocks is the ability to access data in this country. So we will show you techniques that you can convert your interactive website into an application that runs on a computer or on a phone that doesn't require any connectivity. And we have lots of experience working with the Roger Federer Foundation, where they are training early childhood teachers with tablets that have no connectivity, but yet they have interaction with the technology and use the technology to solve their problems. So those are the exciting things I think that technology gives us that we never had before.
So what I want to just add to what our colleagues have said is that this particular question that both Michelle and Nirmala have raised is really a really central question, because we know that our students, who are the end target group, just come from such very different circumstances. And what's so exciting about this project and the way it is going to unfold is that Sadie and Alan and Marilla have actually developed a set of scenarios linked to those very different kinds of contexts, both for the lecturers as well as for the students that they will teach, that take into account how one uses digital technologies as well as just general learning and teaching pedagogies. What Mukta referred to as transformative pedagogies, and others have also referred to those, in order to reach people who come from a multiplicity of contexts. There's not enough time in today's session to go into those, but one of the workshops will provide a lot of detail and discussion, and very possibly and probably all of you from so many different contexts will add detail into that as well. And that we're then going to say, what is the nature of the solutions that have to be sought in order for a program that supports lecturers across the sector from so many different sectors, from so many different contexts, with students from so many different contexts, what needs to be included in terms of the capabilities that need to be nurtured and developed in a program of this sort. So it's very, very exciting. And I think you're all going to be part of enriching it because of the very varied nature of this group and the very diverse nature of the context from which you all come. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but just to let you know that these are aspects that have been thought about very, very deeply, and that you will add to because of the specificity of your particular experiences in this regard. Does that answer your question, Michelle? All of that, Michelle and Nirmala? For now?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions that people would like to raise? We are now at 10 to 12, and we know it's got to end at 12. We don't want to keep you longer than the time we asked you to. Nirmala, is that an old hand or a new hand?
It's a new hand, Denise.
Okay.
Thanks. I was satisfied with the previous responses. So at a very micro level, and I know I probably am moving very far ahead, but I don't want to lose the thought.
Yeah.
At the very micro level, one of the observations we have made at our own institution is that there could probably be a lack of nexus, the connection between the way in which teachers assess versus the objectives of your content, for example, or your module. And we took that a little further in terms of what are the attributes that learners, that industry, whether it's private or public sector, expect of our students, and are we ensuring that we get that connection correct? So, and I know it's far away.
Yes,
but
yes.
Something I think we should also consider.
It's a fabulous question, and that's why you're in the room, because we're expecting all of you to come up with these challenges and these situations that we are dealing with, and to make sure that we cover as many bases as we can, but that we're also sort of open to thinking through how does one approach issues like this. But we're also forming a community of practice in a sense, so that these kinds of things can be taken up by this community of practitioners and experts, so that we're saying, hey, we hadn't thought about this one. What are the ways we can discuss these? So thank you very much for raising it. I'm not giving you an answer to it, but it's really important. Thanks, Nirmala, for the thumbs up. We've got Kasturi, hand up. Please go for it, Kasturi.
Thank you. Thanks, Denise. I think it has been addressed, but I just want to clarify. What are the dotted lines between the SOUT, which is South African University Teachers, kind of project that comes out of the framework document for enhancing university teachers, and this particular project? And I think Oliver spoke about not duplicating, etc. So it'd be really nice to see how we're doing things that amplify and support, but not the same.
Yeah, so I see Michelle's hand up, so I think she might like to answer that question, or she wants to ask another. Michelle, go for it.
Right. I want to partly answer Kasturi's question. And Denise, you've been part of some of the meetings. Anita is here as part of Project 4 within that national program. But basically, we are working with that broader project, the national frame. I'm just going to call it the National Framework Project, which is also funded by the UCDG, and it has 6 sub-projects within it, a number of which I suppose are cognate with the ULDP. In our various meetings, Denise and I have attended some of those project coordinating committee meetings for the individual projects. We realized that much of the work within the national framework projects are about doing further research into particular areas, developing frameworks, policy frameworks, for example. One of those that is led by Mary Jean Baxon of SPU is focusing on continuing learning development and a framework for, I suppose, professionalization, and also for developing a framework for continuing professional development for academics that would be tied into career pathing, for example. I think that one of the conclusions that we drew from our meetings is that the ULDP is an implementation project. So we're, which many of the other projects are not. They're not going to develop programs for implementation, but rather develop the frameworks within which implementation can take place. So that is a distinction at a very, I suppose, simplistic level of where the ULDP might fit in. But what we have done is to ensure that we will have regular meetings with those national framework projects. And I've also been asked to represent USAF on the National Coordinating Committee, so that our various levels of work feed into one another and synergize, so that we can be sure that as a program that's been implemented, we also take on board the principles and frameworks and emerging work of those other groups and projects. Kasturi, I don't know if that answers your question completely, and there might be other ways or additional ways that we can think about ensuring that the work synergizes and keeps on track.
Thank you very much, Michelle. That covers me.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Michelle, for those answers. And I think there are a couple more people in the room are here precisely because of our efforts to do this in collaboration with each other. And this particular project falls very nicely into multiple of the NAFUT. I'm just saying NAFUT, I hope you know what we're talking about, the national framework for the enhancement of academics and university teachers. We've got Anita here from UWC, who is actually part of one of those sub-projects. We have Rita here, Ganesh, who's part of the one with, I think you in the one with Jean Baxon, I think that was project 1. We've got Clever Ndebele here, who's in another project. So we've deliberately invited people when we had our meetings to actually become part perhaps of that reference group, the reference group within this group, so that we all know what each other is doing. And I think the potential for cross-pollinating the work, the frameworks, and what I would say in terms of design thinking principles and aspects would be a sort of a prototyping of a particular kind of program that seeks to enhance academic and university teachers. So thanks for asking that question, Kasturi, because it's a really important aspect of making sure we're not working in contradictory ways. Thank you. Any other questions? Oliver, we're leading up to towards the closure. There's a lot of information here, and Michelle will go on from here to actually consolidate and send you a lot of the information related to some of this. Nirmala,
Sorry,
there's
Denise?
a question from you again. Yeah.
Anita has put in the chat, she says, hand please, Chair. So I'm assuming Anita also has a question.
Okay, all right. So let's get, Nirmala, if you don't mind, if we can get to Anita first, and then we'll come back to you.
Sure.
Anita, go for it.
Thanks, Denise. I'm just wondering how evidence is going to be used in this project. Are we going to be doing some research? Because what we have found, and it will be very interesting, that we're focusing on learning, that we are focusing on teaching for learning. Because if we look at the results of our first years or any year, do we have information on how the students actually did in this time? Because if we think of, and that's why I spoke about at the beginning, those the contributing factors. Looking at the profile of students who did well for 2021 is very different compared to the profile of the students who did well in 2019, for example. So I think it would be very interesting for us to have a look-see and bear that in mind when doing, as Juliet is saying, learning, the learning design. How well are students adapting to it? But then again, how well are staff adapting to working in a hybrid or in an online environment?
No, very exciting challenge that you're putting to all of this. And I think that is part of our collaboration with the various projects in a few that has capacity, in fact, for a lot of research in this area. So it's going to be very exciting. Nirmala?
Yeah, thank you, Denise. If you don't mind, I'm just thinking in terms of what Anita has just submitted. I think one of the notions that we currently have, and I don't want to generalize, is that students may not be as computer literate as we expect them to be. But I want to challenge that notion, because I think young people are really, really good with technology, use of internet, etc. And I think we underplay, we don't mind that enough. I think, again, as you mentioned earlier, it's the teachers that we should really be focusing on. So, you know, how do we use technology? How do we use the resources, the capacity of the students to, how do we mine that capacity to bring out the best in students? So my last comment is that what I'm really excited about in this, with this particular program, is that it seems to me as though we want to have some kind of, we understand the autonomy of institutions, but on the other hand, we are concerned as a country about the quality, and I'm using that term very broadly, the quality of student and education across the country. We know the historically better resourced versus poorly resourced, etc. And my sense is that out of this, the end product is going to be some kind of uniformity that people can fall back on and say, okay, I don't really know which teaching methodology, for example, will best suit a particular class, instead of just taping all my, recording all of my PowerPoints. As Alan said, it drives him insane. It drives me insane as well, but rather use the technology differently to bring out the best and produce the best in terms of our students. Thanks, Denise.
Thanks very much. And we are on 2 minutes to 12. So I'm going to hand over to Oliver, who's going to bring all of this to closure, because we are going to be seeing a lot of each other and we're going to be talking a lot as we go on for the next couple of weeks. And I hope that you're all kind of girding your loins and getting ready to be part of this, folks. We need you. So Oliver, over to you. Thanks, Nirmala.
Great. Thanks so much, Denise. And wow, this is more dynamic and exciting than we expected or anticipated. So it's been fantastic to hear your views. I'm a sort of leadership management academic myself, and we kind of thought of 3 C's, which for me kind of almost summarizes the work that we'll be doing here. It's really firstly around consultation. And I think that's going to be critical, because we recognize the expertise and the knowledge is within our institutions. There's a lot to be shared. There's some pockets of excellence which we can do. And so consultation is going to be key for the success of the Uldp. The second C for me is collaboration. I think I've said it before, there's no holy grails, no sacred cows, there's no duplication, there's no competition. We're going to work on this collectively as a national project. And then thirdly is co-creation. And I think that's the most exciting part for me, because I think we always recognize, drawing from my experience with them, there already is some of these really good programs in place in universities, in some institutions, and we're creating a platform through the ULDP to share that. I think the other key thing, Denise and colleagues, is also making sure that this process is inclusive. So I think the various ways that we're thinking of people being involved, because we know you've got time constraints, you have full-time jobs, but I think it's important that we create those modalities so that you can feel, you can provide inputs, even though you may not be able to attend particular meetings or workshops. But I think from my side, it's been fantastic. It's been great. It's been beyond our expectations. And this is what I love about our sector. I think we come together in a room from different backgrounds, diverse experiences. We work towards the common goal, which is in the interest of the collective, in the interest of the sector. And I think that's what we're aiming to achieve with this particular project. For me, just to really express my deepest and sincerest appreciation to all of you for pitching up, for stepping up, for being here today, spending 2 hours in our presence, for the Helm team, for Denise, for Michelle, for Cindy, Tetsetso, Molatelo, behind the scenes, and also for our colleagues, our collaborators in this process, from Sadie, for Alan and Marilla. It's been a fantastic engagement. For all of you, we look forward to further engagement. Watch this space. We'll communicate with you shortly after this meeting. We'll meet with you pretty soon. And thank you so much for your time and your inputs today. I'm full of excitement. It doesn't take much to excite me. And I think this has really been kind of the other level, the kind of extended level of the spectrum for me. And I'm looking forward to us working with you on this particular project. If you can please, and your network allows it, or you've got the bandwidth, please turn on your cameras so we can wave goodbye to each other as we close this meeting. Goodbye, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Okay. Bye, guys. Cheers.
See you
cheers.
soon.
We'll see you soon. Watch the space.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Bush.
Bye-bye.